Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Daily Canon Tactics Board. Stephen Bradley here to guide you through the tactical nuances and changes and just a general analysis of Arsenal's 2-1 defeat at Wolverhampton Wanderers this evening. And yeah, analysing this game is going to take a little bit of time, and frankly, doing it sober is going to prove impossible. So I'm going to be engaging with my good friend Al, Mr. Al Kahal, and because this game was nuts. This game was absolutely mental. And yeah, just going through what happened after the 45th minute is going to require a lot of liquid courage and a lot of just almost pulling my hair out, which is despite the fact that it's already thinning. But this is going to take a little bit of time, so bear with me. But this game was absolutely mental, and it started at the beginning because when the lineups were brought out, I assumed, like many others, that Neto was going to be deployed as a left wing back, as an attacking left wing back, with him and Podence roaming down the right, or down their left, Simodo and Adama roaming down our left, in an attempt to try and pin Cedric and Bellerin down, so that Saka and Pepe would have to end up here, and thus nullifying our attack and getting Wolves further up the pitch. But they didn't. Immediately, what happened was Wolves lined up in a back four, with Podence playing at cam, Neto playing at left wing, and Kilman going to left back, which means Connor Cody went there. Now, Wolves have a very narrow defensive system, so Bowley and Cody were actually here. Semedo, despite being what in essence is a right midfielder, masquerading as a right back, was here, and Kilman was there. And what it meant was that it gave Moutinho and Neves a lot more room to cover. And 34-year-old Moutinho is not the most athletic player in the world. Ruben Neves, someone who I very much like to see at Arsenal, frankly. But again, a bit like Xhaka, all the passing range in the world, a danger from 30 yards out, but again, needs a runner beside him for him to truly impact games. The two of them together is not the best double pivot. You don't expect these two, one to go forward and one to go back. You don't, if Neves rolls up here, you don't expect Moutinho to go there, for example. So what Wolves did, they set up, in essence, and gave Arsenal all the space they wanted here in between the lines. Like, they were trying to sit deep and kind of try and pick off Arsenal on the break occasionally. But it took 40 seconds, literally 40 seconds, for Thomas Partey to realise, hang on a minute, anytime Arsenal get the ball, Wolves are sitting back. They're trying to push a little bit on Xhaka because they know how good he is on the ball. Neves is sitting back. Moutinho is sitting back. Neto is kind of more worried about Bellerin. Adam is more worried about Celtic. Willian Jose is not being very mobile at all. He's going there. And Podence is edging towards Xhaka a little bit. I've all of the room in the world here. And Saka took even less time to figure out that Kilman's not very good at left back. He is a centre back playing left back. And with Cody, who is a brilliant three-man centre back, what I mean by that, if Cody is here and Bowley is here and Kilman is there, Cody is brilliant at basically standing here almost as a defence midfielder and pinging the ball this way and pinging the ball that way and stepping forward with the comfort and knowledge that he has two players behind him. But in a back four, his lack of at least acceleration of the burst meant that on a number of occasions, with Neves not being able to keep up with Smith Rowe, Lacazette would go here, Smith Rowe would go here, Pepe would go there. And it was basically a case of, could Partey find the ball to Saka or to Lacazette or to Smith Rowe or to Pepe? Again and again. And the answer was a resounding yes, yes, he could. Because 40 seconds in, Kilman tries to push up on Saka. Saka gets in behind the ball. Ping of a ball. Saka's in and he hits the post. And you're like, okay, well, that's it. Are they going to play that game plan up for the first half? And they did. They made sure that Arsenal got the ball here again and again. And anytime Arsenal pushed up high, there were occasions where Smith Rowe would pick up the ball. They were often left. Cedric would occasionally be here, but he wasn't certainly as attacking as he was. Bellerin certainly pushed up a bit more. But Arsenal found themselves in positions where they were 5-on-5, 6-on-5, a lot more than Wolves would have liked. But basically because their centre midfielders and their cat weren't getting back. And as a result, Arsenal were able to get at a rather, at least three centre backs, a left back and two centre backs, and then a right back who's not very good defensively. They were able to beat them again and again, and it should have been 2-0 after 10 minutes. Lacazette was able to find room here to cross it, to get on the end of a cross. Saka scores, but Lacazette is 6 inches offside. But that's the way the law is written, and we'll move on more into how laws are written in a minute. But then Pepe gets the ball here after brilliantly closing, pressing and closing down, winning the ball. Beats Semedo off the dribble, beats Bowley off the dribble, gets in on his right leg, his chocolate leg, as Robin Van Persie would call it, in the far corner, 1-0. And it is exactly what Arsenal deserved. It was Arsenal's best 44.5 minutes of the season. Easily. Wolves are out of form, and yes, they were out of confidence, and yes, they're playing a midfield too that is not in any way, shape, or form built to cope with the movement of these four players and the passing ability of Xhaka and Partey to find those four players at will. It was a team. If you were going to pick a Wolves setup that you'd want Arsenal to play, this is the setup, 100%. And Arsenal scored one and should have had three. Pepe hit the crossbar, Saka hit the post. Saka had one, like I said, ruled out for offside. They should have been 3-0 up, and it probably would have been game over. And then, with 45 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, Arsenal shut off for a second. Partey loses the ball, Xhaka is caught up upfield, and for the first time all game, it's in essence 6-on-4 with Partey here and Xhaka trying to get back. And Luiz tries to give Holding a bit of a hand. Willian Jose goes around him, through ball from Moutinho, and Arsenal are like this. And I am far, far, far more upset with this than I am with this. Now, I'd love to be able to show you the full video, but copyright infringement and GDPR and all that jazz. I don't want to strike on our website. And if you would like to comment, and subscribe and boost our numbers, maybe in time we can afford to pay the couple of million that it would cost to get this clip live. But David Luiz does not try to trip Willian Jose up here. That's clear. He's running behind him. He's too slow to catch him. So he's like, right, I'm going to try and get out of the way. And he's unlucky. Look, Willian Jose is about to kick the ball, clips David Luiz on the knee, and goes down. And the two questions I would ask is this. One, if he wasn't clipped, if you think this was a dive, one, why is he diving? He's 12 yards out from goal. He's a striker. He's one-on-one with the keeper. They don't dive then. They dive if they think that they're not going to score. Under no circumstance in this position does he think he's not going to score. He gets clipped. He's off balance. Then he thinks, uh-oh. And then he goes down. The problem we have, and this is 2021 before anyone goes on to be, the rule's been changed. The rule hasn't been changed. Here's the problem. Where I can find it. There we are. Denying a goal or an obvious goal scoring opportunity, and cheers, because you're going to need beer for it. Sláinte. Where a player denies the opposing team or goal an obvious goal scoring opportunity by a handball offence, the player sent off. Fine. Here, where David Luiz is. Where a player commits an offence against an opponent within their own penalty area, which denies an opponent an obvious goal-scoring opportunity and the referee awards a penalty kick. The offending player is cautioned if the offence was an attempt to play the ball. Is this an attempt to play the ball? No. What is it? It's an attempt to get out of the way. He's not trying to foul him. He's not trying to obstruct him. He's literally trying to avoid him. But in all other circumstances, I hate bad writing. I absolutely hate it. I'm a radio producer for a living. I talk online for a living. I write for a living. Okay? This is season 8 Games of Thrones bad writing. It's shocking. Because what it does is it removes all nuance and any opportunity for a referee to interpret what he's seen. He's not the whole point of VAR is not to not to say, oh well, is the line a millimeter here or there, because I don't mind VAR in that case. You've got to get the line right. Lacazette's offside. Yes, he was 6 inches offside. He's offside. We don't give out about goal rules because it's either across the line or not across the line. Same with offside. It doesn't matter where you put the line, whether you want daylight between players, whether you want it to start on, there or there or there. It doesn't matter. You're always going to get circumstances because there's so much football played where a person is a millimeter offside. It's just the way it is. What this does is that it removes the opportunity for the referee to go over to the camera that they've put in at great expense and go, right, I'm going to look at this again myself. It removes the opportunity for the referee to say, ooh, it's a penalty, but I can't really send him off for that. He's tried to get out of the way. He's been unlucky there. No, I'm going to use my better judgment. I'm going to use my experience and my teaching and my 15 years of learning different rules and officiating different games. That tells me that that's not an attempt to rob him of a goal scoring opportunity. It tells me he's fouled him. He didn't mean to foul him, but he's fouled him, and it's a penalty. But I don't think I should send him off for that. He gives him maybe a yellow, and life moves on. Wolves get a penalty because William Jose has been obstructed, and life goes on. What this does right here is it tells the referee, no, he's off. And it's done because David Ellery and the PGMOL and etc. have gone out of their way to idiot-proof referee. They've gone out of their way to make laws as black and white as possible so that they're easier to teach and so that they're easier to officiate. They want to make, like I said, they want to make the game as easy as possible. But the beauty and the glory of this game is that it's the nuance and it's the little differences and that interpretation which separates everyone from the way they watch games and the way they experience games. We always decry, we want consistency from referees, but we can't expect consistent refereeing from 10, 12, 15 different human beings. They're going to look at things with different interpretations and with different feelings on that. That's fine, but in response to so much criticism over, well, that's a red card and that's not a red card, sure, they both have to be like, they've gone out of their way to dumb this down so that they don't get in trouble. But what they've done is they've robbed any opportunity for a referee to look at this foul and say it's not a red card. And it's a shame. It's a crying shame because Arsenal were in complete dominance of this game until then. And then one moment of idiocy in defence, one moment of just shutting off, one lapse of concentration, one bad law, meaning that David Luiz gets sent off. We'll put him in the naughty corner, but he won't be alone. And Arsenal had to respond. It's 1-1, it's half time. So how do Arsenal respond? Well, there are a whole bunch of different ways you can defend with 10 men. And I don't think there's a particularly bad one. But this Mikel Arteta's mistake here wasn't that he was trying to lose the game or that he was trying to save a 1-1 or that he was trying to, defend for defense sake. What he did was he misread the opposition. Because by taking off Lacazette and bringing on Gabriel, he was trying to achieve two things. One, maintain a back four. Excuse me, this is rather gassy. He's really good though. You should get some. Maintain a back four, Partey and Xhaka to sit back, and then Pepe left wing, Saka right wing, and Smith Rowe almost as a false nine per se. He's not really there to hold the ball up. He's there almost when Arsenal get a counter to come here and then find Saka or Pepe who would do this, who would run that way, who would run that way, right? And against most teams, that's a good idea. Sit back, wait. You're not going to have a lot of the ball. Just hope that they make a mistake and then counter with perhaps three of your quickest players because Lacazette's legs are starting to go and he's not as quick on the ball as Smith Rowe. That's fine. But the problem with this is that when you're sitting deep and you're trying to, draw a team in, what happens is that, and we'll put Smith Rowe here, what Wolves realised very quickly was that because Smith Rowe is up here, not Lacazette, it meant that the two centre-backs could now come forward, and Kilman too, because they don't have to worry about him doing this, because he's not going to hold the ball up against them. They know he's going to come deep for the ball. So now they don't have to think about the threat going behind. They can react. If Pepe beats Dama's quick enough to catch back, but then they can go back. So Willian Jose obviously goes forward a lot more because Arsenal are sitting back. Podence as well starts looking for those spots in between the lines here. We'll put him here for the moment. It's kind of where he went left wing with Neto because the two of them were trying to capitalise on Saka and Bellerin trying to push up forward. Adama does what Adama does, which is stay here and hope to get behind. Semedo did this. But what it did is it gave Moutinho and Ruben Neves the ball 30 yards up from goal. And this is why it's a mistake from Arteta in terms of who he's playing against as opposed to the scheme. Because the scheme is a good idea. But if you were to give me a list of 10 players in world football, never mind in the Premier League, that I don't want to shoot from 30 yards out, these are two of them. They're lethal. They're absolutely lethal. The only reason why Moutinho doesn't take free kicks is because Ruben Neves might be second or third best in the world. And 3 minutes into the second half, Moutinho has the ball here. And he decides, well, Neto and Podence are being held. Willian Jose is not free. Adam is only going to try and beat three men and cross it into the crowd. I'm going to have a shot. And what does he do? Straight in the corner. And it's 2-1. And, anybody who's ever played Football Manager in their lives will know that this is a classic Football Manager game. You play really well, you create 3 or 4 clear chances, you score 1, and then the CPU decides, no, you're losing, ha 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 ha, watch this. Here's a red card with something that'll never be replicated again, here, and then here's a 30-yard wonder strike from a person who hasn't scored this season. And it's 2-1, and now all of a sudden, you're playing without a striker. What do you do? It's one of those situations where he's tried something and it's backfired on Arteta within 3 minutes. And then Wolves went, well, we're winning now. We're going back. Ha 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 ha. Try and score on us, you won't. It's just the Nuno Santos way. He just doesn't attack. He's very happy with his 2-1. He goes, right, okay, on you go. You try and beat us. And Arsenal, they kind of tried, but they just couldn't get the ball out. Partey was his influence was starting to wane a little bit just because he's still building fitness after 2 groin injuries in a month. Smith Rowe, again, couldn't do this because it's not in his game. And then with 20 minutes to go, Pepe, who was superb, by the way, on the left wing, to the extent where he is starting to exert control over a game that he never did on the right because he's now a threat on the left. And if he's going to start putting in on his right and pinging balls into the far corner like he did today, he may become undroppable at some point. He was that good today. I'm not being over dramatic here. He was excellent today. And taking him off for the captain, again, it's a case of maybe the right idea, but if you're going to put Aubameyang on the same wing as the fastest right winger in the league and one of the fastest right backs in the league. Not the time and place. That he needs to be there, but you've just taken off your best left winger. So it, it was one of those situations where match management, game management, wasn't the best by Mikel Arteta, but I don't blame him for short circuiting when, and I can't move him because he should be where Gabriel is for the second card. And here's my analysis of Bernd Leno's red card. Cheers. Finish it off. Do I need to say anything more? He was. It was the stupidest thing I've seen in years, and that's including David Luiz getting sent off for something that he shouldn't have been sent off, and that's for the other two sending offs that David Luiz has done in exactly the same thing over the course of the last year. Bernd Leno's red card was absurd. Did he misjudge the ball? Yes, but he shouldn't have been 30 yards out. He could just let the ball run. He was under no pressure. He could have just stood on the 18-yard line. He could have stood right here. And it would have been fine. No bother at all. Nope. With 10 men, he's playing here, where Gabriel is right now. And he gets sent off. And it's like, what do you do? What do you do? So, takeaways from this game. For 45 minutes, Arsenal were brilliant. They were superb. And how how much you want to put on two moments of idiocy, one by the lawmakers of the game and one by a goalkeeper who was infallible, frankly, up until this point. Now we pray to whatever God you believe in that Matt Ryan can play, because Renard Runnison is not the answer. Villa in 4 days with Jack Grealish running against a backline who we know makes mistakes. I'm off to get more of this. We'll talk to you next week. Good luck.